he actually greenlit a launch with regards to the use of US long-range missiles by the Ukrainians into Russia.
Yeah, I know.
And this is a clear escalation, and it's in a bit of a lame duck period for Biden handing over power to Trump. So this isn't quite a peaceful transfer of power per se, but this is a very troubling development because now it's sort of giving Trump a bit of a ticking time bomb,
Absolutely.
So when he takes office officially in January 20th, it's like, well, have fun, this crock of crap you've got to deal with now. I just feel like they're stacking the economy, they're stacking the global balance of things against him.
Yeah, I mean, so this is the ATACMS rockets, and also there's the Taurus missiles, and I forget which ones but the thing is that none of these things can be shot into Russia without U.S. intelligence and guidance systems. So this is basically NATO hardware. NATO hardware is currently in Kursk in Russia. We have the rockets being launched into Russia with explicitly, it can't be done without the U.S. Guidance systems. So, I mean, this is absolutely insane. If you could imagine, the Russian rockets are being fired from Mexico into the United States, or tanks, kind of driving up Russian tanks, proxy tanks being driven up into California. This is with nuclear power beyond insane. We are gambling the whole world's population, every child in the world, over what? This is a war that's actually already been lost. The front lines are collapsing. There's no good that's come out of this. We've driven Russia into the hands of China. All the energy that was going into Western Europe is now going elsewhere. So again, cheap, reliable energy now going to other countries, and we've destroyed the reserve currency of the dollar. The BRIC system wouldn't have had that kind of pull if the collective West hasn't basically shown everyone that it's not safe to keep capital in the Western societies anymore. So we kicked Russia off the SWIFT system. We seized their reserve assets, and basically have told everyone that the collective West is not a place that you can safely keep your capital. We have destroyed our credibility. We have killed lots of people. But some generals in Western Virginia get to retile their bathrooms. So, that's an upside.
Yeah. No, I think I was really encouraged though on day, a couple of days after the Trump win. Obviously, we mentioned how Hamas said, "Yep, we want peace." Gulf states are severing ties with Hamas. Ukraine and had a firm talking to by Elon and Trump saying, "You're not getting any more arms." When we take office. We're seeing a lot more countries sort of come together with the US, but also we're seeing China sort of solidify its support and control over people like, Albanese and Starmer, which is really troubling.
Right now you've got the anti-war party of the hippies from the 60s, the Democrats and other left-leaning parties of the world saying, "Oh, isn't it fantastic we've got the Chinese on board?"
Yeah.
How do you make any sense of that? I think the BRICS nations' success was inevitable anyway, but this has certainly accelerated it. We have in the West, and a lot of people don't realise this, we have 30% of the world's economy under sanction. Of course they're going to go and trade with each other. What would we do if it was the same situation? What's going to happen? Put this out there for you guys to respond to. If the BRICS nations said, "You know what? We're not going to trade with you anymore." Can you imagine the effect that would have on us?
Well, given the strategic manufacturing and minerals that China controls, I don't think it'd be able to cure a staph infection if because we'd have a shortage of antibiotics, would have a shortage of steel, would have a shortage of all kinds of critical things because we've allowed ourselves to become dependent on the BRICS nations, and energy being among them. So we have created a situation where we are extremely vulnerable, and we have not yet woken up to it.
Remember what I said to you on election night about penicillin?
Yep.
That there's 4 major manufacturers in the world. 3 of them are located in China.
Yep.
Again, I've got no objection to China. China's doing what they should do in their best interests. But the result is that we say to young people in our countries, go fight for our values. Go fight for our freedoms. We won't say what our freedoms actually are. We won't actually articulate what our values really are. But just know that if you do get injured fighting our enemies, the medications you're going to be taking, we're going to buy from overseas. The bandages that are going to bandage up your wounds are going to be bought from overseas. The antiseptic creams and all that sort of stuff is going to be brought in from overseas. And we don't have enough doctors and nurses either, so we'll probably get overseas doctors and nurses to look after you with equipment that's manufactured overseas.
And our energy will be where we're going to get our windmill parts or our solar panels.
Exactly.
We've got to wake up, grow up, get smart fast, or we are in deep trouble. We're already in deep trouble, and I don't think people realise it. The Western world has lost its freaking mind, and the UK is a train wreck right now.
Absolutely.
We are not far behind. Canada is not far behind.
1984 was not an instruction manual.
It is just we are in so much trouble, and it's a mindset of. There is a certain mindset out there of a certain percentage of people that just live in the most illogical, irrational. They walk around with concepts in their brain that don't match up, that just lead to blaringly obvious hypocrisy. And what makes me want to puke is they think they're virtuous. And you walk down the street and and this is why I get depressed and down a bit on people generally, because I think I go through what I call my Peter Hitchens phases, which is where, I always think of Peter Hitchens doing those interviews where he says, we're all doomed, it's all hopeless, the West is finished, there's no hope, And I feel like that so often. And when I feel like that, I put on some Peter Hitchens and I get a scotch.
And I
sit down and slap myself around.
A counterpoint to that. On the one hand, it is dark. There are all these forces that don't make any sense. But I have a thought, and I was talking to you about this earlier. I do think that the suffering and the lies and all that thing, it is leading to the Great Awakening. People are waking up to the idea that there are, that they have been lied to on many fronts.
I think a lot of people are, but God, it's so slow, it's just exhausting.
It is,
and I'm so tired of having to say that. The same things we're all saying over and over and over again, and you still meet people, and they're just like, but I don't like Donald Trump.
They need more suffering in order to awaken.
It's like, people need leadership, and that's why I keep saying that I think we should all, especially us that are, what you call us, thought leaders, people that come out there and talk about different things, the international experience, we should set up alternative things to the World Economic Forum where we can bring people from all over the world. I mean, the Europeans are hating what the European Union has done. We should set these things up so that we actually have the firepower behind us.
We can't
because
print our own money, though.
On their own aren't going to do it, but as a group, they certainly can, and they will.
I think that's what
I do want to bring something to your attention, though, Damien, and I'll show it to you after we finish this. So I'm a British citizen as well as Australian, and I've noticed that every single time that I say anything about particular politicians and leaders in the UK or say anything negative, I get certain searches of my online profiles, of which there's not much on me online, right? The things that are on there don't make me look particularly good. They're not completely true either, but whatever. And I have my social media accounts searched by certain law enforcement agencies in the UK every time I say something about the UK. I don't bully very easy, so I don't know whether they're trying to send me a message or if they're just checking up on me or what the hell is going on over there. But I think that the more and more that people get frustrated, eventually you're going to see people starting to have enough and expressing that. You've seen these riots and protests in the UK. And my question to the UK government and to the governments of most other Western countries is, if you are going to ignore the people when they explain to you what they want at the ballot box, you're going to shut them down on social media, you're going to shut them down on YouTube and all of that sort of stuff, so you're not going to listen to them. Then they try to disconnect from you and homeschool their kids and just get away from you, and you still come after them. At what point do you think this will end? Do you really think it's going to end because you're able to silence everybody? Because I can tell you the British people are not going to be silenced. The Australian people are not going to be silenced. And there is a limit. And if you cross...
Well, the Chinese talk about letting the valve out. You got to give people an opportunity to express their concerns, to say things online, at least a little bit of freedom. Otherwise, they will turn against you.
And if you cross the line, I don't know where the line is, but if you cross the line, I don't think the repercussions of that are very good. You cannot hold down the citizenry. And as I've said many times before, these are our countries. These are our rights, not theirs. And they need to start respecting that.
That's what encourages me about a lot of these things. And again, my little rant before about the electoral reality of the next 3 years wasn't to discourage you. It's to help you plan so you can get your crap sorted. I'm actually quite encouraged where things are going. I see cycles and I see patterns with regards to this stuff, just as you would see with finance and you would see with the failing marketing business, for example. What I see is things that are turning people into libertarians, less government, conservatives as well, wanting traditional values, not just sort of, go for it, like the 4B movement. What I see...
The 4B movement.
4B movement. What I see, for example, let's take something like the banning of 16-year-olds on social media. I think they're going to turn a generation of those under 16 into libertarians.
Yeah, it's a dumb move.
It's a really dumb move because these kids know how to code. They're just like, screw the government. Oh, who do they think they are? They're going to turn a whole generation against it. And also a lot of older people is also saying, this is silly. We were watching Q&A on Monday. The whole panel was basically like, okay, look, we should ban it, but not for this beautiful kid in the front row who was like, saying, I should Oscar, who said I should be, this is going to stop me from being able to network and do all that good stuff, and I would be banned off it until May.
Any parent knows that YouTube is a source of. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just saying, good people break bad laws. That's all.
Yeah, that's what Topher.
Any parent knows that kids use YouTube for research.
We don't think that these kids are going to set up their own surreptitious networks using technology that we wouldn't even know about.